are listening to episode 2 of The Informed Investor, Investor Educational Initiative by Research and Ranking.
Hello, this is Jigna here and welcome to the second episode of The Informed Investor. I have with me Jaspreet Singh Arora, Chief Investment Officer at Research and Ranking. Thank you, Jaspreet, for joining us.
It's always a pleasure to join you for the Informed Investor series.
So, Jaspreet, today morning I read a very beautiful quote by 26th US President Theodore Roosevelt. He quoted, "The more you know about the past, the better prepared you are for the future." Considering the current times, do you think there are any cues that we can take from the past, especially from the recent 2008 financial crisis?
Yeah, so what happened in 2008 was the market crashed and it pulled back, and then it went into two different phases, and this is exactly what's happening now. So I have kind of juxtaposed what's happened so far, what's likely to happen. Again, it's what's likely to happen, our best case guesstimate as of today, and it's a which has a very, very high probability. So the last in 2008, the market crashed 50% between Jan 8 to December 2008, right? And this time around, it had crashed 38%. The difference was last time it took 12 months to knock off that 50%. This time it was less than 2 months. From Feb 13 to 23rd March is I mean not even 40 days. So that was the kind of brutality that happened this time around. The pullback last time in 2008 took almost 22 months, right? From the Nifty index of 3,02959 to be precise, it took more than 22 months for it to recover that number of 6,000. This time, the entire pullback has happened in 4 months. But directionally, if you see the 1:2 ratio, the fall in 12 months, pullback in 22 months, 1:2, is largely the same, which is fall in 2 months and pullback in 4 months, right? So just taking a lesson from the past, the market consolidated around the 6,000 range in between 2010, mid of 2010 till early 2013. Right, it just about was only up like 5-7% from 5,300 to 6,000. Largely a very 5 to 7%. It didn't do much if I were to use those words. And after that, it just took off, and it took off like crazy. From 6,000, it went up to 8,400 from Feb of 2013 till Feb of 2015. And this is precisely what our sense is at this stage. Next 5 months is more going to be a consolidation zone. When I'm saying consolidation, it's more at the benchmark levels, like a Nifty or a Sensex, or some of the larger indices, if one were to look at it. While the broader breadth of the market will definitely be much better. And we're already seeing it in the mid and small cap, the strength that the mid and small cap are showing, or the advanced decline that's happening, the volumes that are happening, you can clearly see that, right? It's far greater participation in stocks beyond the top 100.
So, Jaspreet, since we are already talking about the 2008 financial crisis, are there any lessons that still hold relevance for an investor to build a portfolio for the post-COVID-19 world?
The last time market was in a consolidation zone, which I mentioned was October 10 to Feb 13. There were over 25 stocks which gave 100% return. There were over 60 stocks which gave over 50% return, right? And it is across sectors, be it consumption, be it BFSI, auto, pharma, and miscellaneous. So since we are in that space or in that segment where we try to identify the top 22 stocks to our clients, and it's in that sense a fairly concentrated portfolios. All we would need or try and attempt would be to get 2 or 3 out of those 25 stocks, 2 or 3 out of those 60 stocks, and the rest could be more of those 10, 15, 20% average basket kind of. If we get that, 35-40% or more over a less than 2 years period is definitely doable. And thereafter, obviously, the growth engine picks up, and obviously over a three-year period, one is looking at a combined aggregate portfolio, kind of doubling is where we are trying to position ourselves. Even the large caps delivered as high as 76% up to 75-80% return, while mid caps was obviously delivering those handsome 100-200% returns. Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv, TCS, Sun Pharmaceuticals, HCL Technologies. So it's not just that mid caps were shining in that period, and this is just the sample. As I said, there are over 60 stocks, and this is just a sample of some of those. Maybe 35-40 of those 60 stocks. Now, moving on to the phase which I mentioned, top right, the bull run which India saw, where the index moved up from 6,000 to 8,400, a 40% jump. In that period, what happened was 160 stocks gave 100% return, while 240 stocks gave 50% return, right? So you can clearly see the equation in the previous slide where 25 and 60, right? So 25 moved up to 160, and 60 moved up to 240. So that's the kind of number of stocks which went up, or which gave those handsome fancy returns in that period of February 2013 to February 15, which is a 2-year period. And if you get a good 100% return from a couple of stocks, we're not saying at a portfolio level, which you get off, which even you get on a half of your portfolio, then I think overall returns, averaging about 60-70% over a 2-year period, and as I said, 100% return over a 3-year period should not be difficult. Again, some of the large caps during that phase, Britannia, TVS, Bharat Forge, Eicher, Bajaj Finance again did really well. But the starting point here in that phase was clearly it was mid caps all the way. They outnumbered large caps by a big margin. So some of them continued their run from the previous 2 years, and they continued. So they did well between 2011 and 12, right, the calendar years, and they continued in 13, 14, and early part of 15. And they were stocks like Cera Sanitaryware, Britannia Industries, Astral Poly, Page Industries. So that's the kind of pharma again came up, was again the shining armor there, where you had some almost every second stock in pharma doing well. So what besides kind of sharing what happened in the last phase when such an event happened, it is also kind of giving us the flavor of the sectors that did well and the sector rotation, and we draw lessons from it, and we kind of use that when we are building a portfolio in the current context for our clients.
What are the key events that can drive the stock markets in the future?
Earlier there was a horizontal lockdown, and therefore you're waiting for the PM, or somebody from the ministry, from the cabinet coming out and giving the announcement, the unlock, how it's going to be phased out. But now that it's already been done, and it's been almost 2 months, it is now those micro level lockdowns that and which we call vertical lockdowns that one will have to keep an eye. So as I understand, parts of Bihar, parts of West Bengal, parts of most of UP, right, so that is where lockdown still exists, either for almost the entire week, or it's only on particular days or on a weekend. So it differs from state to state, in some cases city to city. So that's one. Second is obviously the final opening up, which is I wouldn't call that final, but let's say the second last, which is the food courts, entertainment zones, the restaurants, bars, multiplex, gyms, and the clubs, which is expected to open next month based on the progress that we make. And lastly, the last would be, I think, the schools and colleges and the local trains across cities. That would obviously, once that happens, then that would be like, giving a very, very positive sign that things are far in control. Outside India, US presidential elections would be a key event to watch out for. Just more on headline basis. It doesn't matter beyond a point. And in India, we have an election in Bihar. I don't know how it's going to be conducted, but yeah, that's scheduled for November, and that will be something that will be keenly watched.
As I'm talking to you, markets have recovered by approximately 50% since the March lows. Many are predicting a correction here on. Where do you see markets in the near term?
The Nifty EPS is expected to decline, and this is again with a very, very high predictability, or if you want to call it accuracy, that one want to use the word, versus if you had asked me the similar thing in April or May, it would have been very, very low. So we are fairly confident that this year Nifty EPS, the decline would be anywhere between 5 to 10%, right? And therefore we have taken an average of 8%. However, the next year, the jump should be equally sharp, right? And it should be anywhere between 600 to 625 to 630, 640 type of a number. Again, and this is just not 1 year of a low base. There are multiple years of either no growth or low growth that's been there, which is leading to that. And obviously, if you juxtaposes with the fact that current year GDP decline is expected to be 5%, next year expected to move up 8% or more, then it kind of tallies with that. If I combine that with the long-term P average of 18 to 22 times, the Nifty range, the fair pricing that we would want to call it from a 1 year perspective, happens to be between 11,000 to 13,400. So clearly means that at 11,000, the market would be at the lower range, and therefore no reason why we should fret this number where the market is right now, and not look at opportunity. So our sense is use every dip to buy rather than trying to look at the index.
That's really well said, Jaspreet. Use every dip as an opportunity to invest in high quality stocks. Markets were volatile, they are volatile, and they will remain volatile. I remember one of the things that you told me a few days ago, that victory comes from finding opportunities in problems. With this, we have come to the end of the second episode of The Informed Investor. Thank you, Jaspreet, for joining us. I look forward to the next episode.
Thank you, Jigna. Look forward to our next conversation. Goodbye.
Equity investments are subject to market risks. Read all documents carefully before investing. The views expressed are for information purposes only and does not try to predict the market. Research and Ranking is not responsible for any actions taken by you based on this information or views. All the views expressed here may or may not reflect Research and Ranking's recommended portfolio.